Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are breaking down the core ideas from Robert Greene's hugely influential and, pretty controversial book, The Art of Seduction. We're going to dive into how it frames persuasion not as some kind of force, but as a deep psychological art. So let's start right at the core of Greene's whole idea. He argues that real persuasion, the kind that truly works, isn't about being aggressive or pushy. Not at all. Instead, it's this subtle, really powerful pull on our deepest desires. The ones we might not even be conscious of, that desire for something more. And really, what the book is getting at is this universal human feeling. This yearning to escape, to have an adventure, to live a life that's just, a little less ordinary. That's the feeling the most powerful influencers know how to tap into. So, how does this idea of tapping into desire actually translate into real-world influence? To explain it, Greene brings up this absolutely fascinating concept, the seductive archetypes. Think of these archetypes as powerful, idealized character types that people are just instinctively drawn to. This kind of reframes the whole idea of seduction as a form of theater. It's about embodying a fantasy, right? Playing a role that really connects with your audience's inner world. And Greene lays out a whole bunch of these, each one with its own unique psychological power because it taps into a different core human need. You've got the siren, the rake, the ideal lover. The list is pretty long. Now, they're all fascinating, but for our explainer today, we're going to zero in on two of the most compelling, the charismatic and the dandy. Okay, let's jump into our first case study, the charismatic. This archetype is all about appealing to our deep down need for purpose and, for security. These are the kinds of people who just radiate this intense, attractive confidence that naturally pulls people in. But here's the crucial point. This isn't about being the loudest person in the room or being all flashy. According to Greene, charismatic power comes from a calm self-assurance. It's something that makes other people feel secure, feel inspired, and feel like you have something they desperately wish they had for themselves. So who's a classic example of this? Greene points straight to John F. Kennedy. And think about it, he didn't just win an election. He very deliberately projected this romantic, idealized image that completely captivated a nation. Kennedy was a master at using imagery and language to make the public feel like they were part of a grand adventure. And in doing so, he reignited this dormant sense of national mission. So you see, his power wasn't just political. It was deeply, deeply emotional. He made people feel part of something bigger than themselves. All right, so now let's switch gears completely and look at an equally powerful but totally different archetype, the dandy. If the charismatic offers security, the dandy appeals to our suppressed desire for rebellion and individuality. This one is all about ambiguity and mystery. Dandies are masters of self-creation. They love to play with social rules, with gender norms, and they create this mysterious, hard-to-pin-down presence that really stirs up repressed desires and curiosities in other people. They represent freedom from having to fit in. The go-to example for the dandy in Greene's book, the silent film star Rudolph Valentino. The guy was an absolute phenomenon, and his entire appeal was built on this exact idea of ambiguity. Valentino's whole power came from the way he could blend traditionally masculine and feminine traits. He'd play these dangerous, dominant characters, but at the same time he's wearing makeup and flowing robes. It made him a total puzzle. You couldn't define him, and that made him the perfect screen for people to project their own fantasies onto. And that's the whole trick, isn't it? By refusing to fit into a neat little box, dandies like Valentino become this kind of blank canvas. And people project their own hidden fantasies of freedom and transgression all over them. That's what makes them so irresistibly alluring. Okay, so we've seen two totally different archetypes, right? The confident leader and the ambiguous rebel. So what's the fundamental principle that connects them? What's the thread here? Well, the book argues that there's one simple yet really profound principle that is underneath all successful forms of seduction and persuasion. And here it is. Their power is not actually about who they are. It's not about their own inherent qualities, their good looks, or their strength. That's all just the surface level stuff. It's all about their incredible ability to reflect the hidden dreams and the repressed desires of their audience. Kennedy embodied that collective yearning for purpose. Valentino offered a vision of freedom from convention. In essence, they become a mirror for everything we feel is missing in our own lives. And that's the core of it, right there.
The real secret isn't about trying to be impressive. It's about being insightful. It's about understanding what people are missing, what dreams they've had to put on a shelf, and then embodying it for them.
So, this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In today's world, a world of influencers and personal brands, who are the great seducers? When you look around at our culture, at politics, advertising, social media, who is using these timeless principles of psychological influence? And maybe more importantly, what deep-seated desires are they channeling back at us?